All right. Hi guys, my name is Lyndon. I'm a software developer, hobby wedding videographer, and today we're going to talk about a gimbal that I wish I knew about sooner. All right, now, full disclosure, Zhiyun, I don't know how to say it. They reached out to me after watching, I guess you've been watching some of my videos. I've been uploading a what's in my camera bag or like what's in my wedding videography gear video. Somebody from Zhiyun saw it and reached out and asked if I'd be interested in checking out one of their newest gimbals. This is their Cinepeer Weebill 3E, and after watching some reviews and checking out the specs, I figured why not. Of all the specs that really impressed me, I'll tell you right now, the payload and the price. Pretty incredible. The payload of 6.6 pounds is something this small. Very impressive. The price of $339. 339 Canadian dollars. Plus I heard there were discounts, big discounts during the, I guess the launch event that they did with this thing. I don't know what it is in US. I'll put it up on the screen somewhere, but price and payload. So I said, yeah, but they did not pay me. This is not a paid review. I don't get anything in return. I don't even think I get to keep this. I gotta send it back, I think. I'll find out. They just want to know if I wanted to do a video, talk about my experience as a solo wedding videographer. So I said, yeah, and this is it. So we're gonna talk about some specs, some features, and my time with it. And then maybe some comparisons that I would make, and we'll end on some like hot takes and what I think overall about the thing. All right, so this, the Weebill 3E comes in a box that's not really for bringing it around. You don't lug this around in the box, more like for storage. But it comes with the tripod handle, it comes with the base plate. It'll come with a USB-C cable and an Allen key for the base plate, and then the main unit, the gimbal with the handle. Now, the gimbal and the handle is one piece, so the battery is also not removable. The locks are not automatic, they are manual, and the size is small. Here, I got this sheet of paper from my printer, and it's, if I take off the, it's almost as small. It's almost as small. I've got the base plate on the farthest edge of the arm here, but pretty good, right? All right, let's talk feel and build. So the arms themselves are metal. So they feel good, robust. The base plate, metal. Now the base plate does not come with a quick release mechanism. So I've got my own Falcam F38 base plate here, and I use the F38 plate. Again, the grip is mostly plastic, but it's not it doesn't feel like a cheap plastic. It feels solid. If I was to grip this thing, like it's not moving or bending. And the bottom features 3 1/4-inch screw holes. I'm guessing for base plates, if you would use this on like a monopod or like an extended arm, you wouldn't use the center, you would probably use the outer 2. You'd use 2 screws. So the handle features a USB-C port for charging, also for data transfer. You can do manual firmware updates that way. And the back, we've got an OLED screen, 0.69 inches. There's a mode button, the record button, we got a little analog stick, and I've got a menu button, a power button, and a rocker dial for navigating through the menu. The front, we've got a rocker dial here and a trigger. All right, let's talk features and some specs here. So this thing weighs 2.2 pounds. And again, the payload of 6.6 pounds, very impressive. It's got a battery life of 16 hours, which I'd say is pretty accurate. 2 days with this thing, and I still had some juice left over. I mentioned that base plate here. I've got on the farthest part. You can see it's got a little groove here. This fits the bottom arm for vertical mounting. If you're a vertical shooter, you shoot for mobile. I don't really do it. I didn't try it. Don't need it. Now, let me talk about the record button. It also features Bluetooth recording. So if your camera's supported, you can wirelessly control your record button. Now, I have Lumix bodies, and unfortunate for me, Lumix is not a supported brand on this thing. So if you're shooting on Sony, looks like every Sony camera is supported. All the newer Canon cameras are supported. So that's good for you guys if you guys use those brands, but not me. They feature what they're calling their new advanced algorithms for a smoother, more intuitive motion. The customizable buttons here. So I have the rocker set to the tilt. I'll show you, I can just boot it up. So the modes I typically shoot in are PF for pan follow or L for locked. And I like it because usually I'm walking around. I'm maybe even like walking backwards if I'm tracking people walking back down the aisle. I want this locked sometimes. I don't want it to drift for my subject, but If I feel like I'm too high or too low, I want to be able to make slight adjustments with the rocker here, up and down with the tilt. And that way I'm still facing the subject. I can make slight movements, you know, and I'm not really deviating from the composition, from the shot I'm trying to get. You can control the other arms too with this if you wanted to. You can do camera functions too. ISO is one of the advertising ones you can do. You like connect to your camera and control exposure that way. The trigger can be used to switch modes. I have it set to the go. So the go is kind of like an action all follow, where no matter where I move it. So if I want to make a quick correction and I want to be able to, like, I want it to follow me. But typically I would be on pan follow or locked. The app is mainly for some controls, you know, be able to control the gimbal. You can control the gimbal via like a UI, directional buttons, or the gyro data of your phone to be able to control it remotely. Kind of gimmicky for me. For me, the app is really helpful for firmware updates. You use it to check for firmware updates. If an update's available, update it through the app. Okay, so let's talk about my experience with this thing. Before I took it on my paid weddings, I took it on a little family outing. We went to the park, and I found that the default settings were a little too reactive for me. After I had it balanced, I did the auto tune, and then I set the motors to low. And I found that low for me is the sweet spot. Every gimbal's different. Some gimbals you gotta really fine tune the motors for your liking, but mainly on the orbit. I feel like the orbit sometimes on the default was a little too responsive, but on low, I feel like it's perfect, especially for when you're orbiting while trying to pan. For me anyway. And again, for weddings, I'm mainly doing push, pulls, I'm strafing, or orbiting. And that's pretty much it. As far as the payload is concerned, I'm not maxing out that 6.6 payload. What that 6.6 payload allows though, it's overhead on imbalanced camera setups. So this is perfectly balanced, right? See that? It's perfectly balanced. If I was to extend this, all right, and then I take, this is a metal lid for the Polar Pro VND. If I slap this on, watch this. Okay, I'm gonna, like it's not balanced. It's very not balanced. But what that 6.6 pound payload allows is for this kind of performance. If you've used gimbals and you've put on a zoom on this thing, you know what it's like to push it to its limit and have the jiggities happen. Well, in this case, like I don't get that here. And again, a gimbal this size at this price point to be able to do this is the impressive part. And I think that's the real strength of that 6.6 payload. All right, let's talk cons here. Some negatives about this thing. Balancing this thing is not the easiest. If I unlatch the lock, while I'm relatching the lock, it is pretty easy to move it while you're doing it. You gotta kind of like counter the action for the lock to be able to make sure you're not moving it too much while you're trying to lock it in place. The fact that it only comes with the dovetail and not with a quick release mechanism, you got to use your own. But again, if they added one, would that up the price? The fact that this Cinepeer Weebill 3E kit that I got did not come with the dual sling mode handle. You know, that's something extra you got to buy separately. And again, if they added it here, I prefer 2 handles. If they added it, how much more would that have bumped the price up? And the last negative here I'd say is the placement and also the feel of the analog stick. It's so far off to the side where I'm not able to really tell if I'm pushing up all the time. Me pushing up on this analog stick sometimes makes it go like diagonal, and I turn it a little bit sometimes. Me pushing down sometimes, it turns. Like I'm not really hitting down, I'm hitting down right or I'm hitting down left. I think it's just the placement, the fact that it's on the side. But maybe that's just me. But yeah, so that's also why I prefer to have my rocker dial on the front be the tilt. Because I know if I'm moving left and right, if I'm turning left and right, this is controlling the rotation, I can control the tilt with this rocker, and it's only going to go up and down. But other than that, I think that's it. And it's really, again, it's protected by the fact that I know the price is $339. I almost can't ask for more because I know it might jack up the price. The comparison that people would try to make is between the RS4 and the RS3 Mini. Both kind of disingenuous to compare against because the RS3 Mini only has a payload of like 4 pounds. It around the same price. It's still $300. Much smaller than the RS4, around the same size as this guy. It might not be too much of a fair comparison. And likewise on the other end, the RS4, a little bit bigger, same payload, and almost double the price. Like when I bought it was like $700 after tax, Canadian. Talking Canadian prices. Had I known this thing existed before, I don't know if I would have bought the RS4. Another elephant in the room here is these manual locks. A nice thing about the RS4 is the automatic locking. If you were to tell me that the price difference for automatic locking versus manual locking was double the price, I don't know if I'd be able to swallow that. This is showing us that Zhiyun or Zhiyun's manufacturing is mature enough that they're able to give us a product like this at this price and still make a profit. If anything, this is just raising the bottom end for all content creators as far as what gimbals they should be buying or looking at. Because moving forward, if a gimbal doesn't do at least this much for around the same price as what this is offering, I don't know how other people are gonna be able to compete. I think this is perfect for a first gimbal, or if you already have a bigger, beefier gimbal, this is a perfect smaller, more compact setup. Again, especially for the price. For the money I could have saved with the RS4, getting this instead, I could have bought another VND filter from Polar Pro. That pretty much wraps it up, guys. Please, if you're interested, check out the links in the description. I'm gonna have a link to the product on their official website. There's a code for 10% off available if you do want to pick it up. Oh, shoot, if you're also watching this before or on around October 8 and 9, Amazon Big Prime Days is happening. I believe they're also gonna have this thing for 15% off. So check out the links in the description. Hopefully the timing's right if you guys are watching this around then. And if you're in the market for a small, compact, beefy gimbal, this is it. All right, here's another hot take. Marketing in Canada, marketing in Winnipeg for a lot of these other brands that aren't rooted in the big box stores like Zhiyun here, I don't get access to this stuff. I don't get to see or hear about how awesome some of this stuff. A lot of the YouTubers don't talk about the entry-level stuff, so I would not have heard about this. And that's my problem too. Maybe I don't follow enough smaller creators, because some of the reviews I did find on this thing are from other smaller creators who all pretty much say this exact same thing I'm saying. Like, for the price, for exactly what it does, this thing performs. That's not really commentary on the gimbal, commentary on the market as a whole. But again, check out the links in the description. Thanks guys for watching. Please come back for more videos related to wedding videos and wedding video gear and whatever. So yeah, see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.